ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, The Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and welcome to the Thursday edition of the Breakfast Bankroll. Good friend and colleague, Mr. Matthew George, live from the MECCA, NYC, as we do our weekly spot talking sports, New York temperature gauge, and much more. But our headline today, Jaxson throwing darts to his neighbors as we get ready for the official first week of preseason kickoff. We had the Hall of Fame game last week. Now everyone gets to put the pads on and play these meaningless games because they've been practicing with these teams for the last couple of days. So just your classic money grab. Most of the starters aren't playing, so we're trying to get a gauge on guys fighting for jobs, second spots, etc., yada. But first and foremost, a shout out to our proud sponsor and partnership. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play, download the app. It is free. So without further ado, let's bring him in, Mr. Matthew George. What's up, Matthew?
Good morning, Jeff. What's going on? How are you?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
Yeah, we're all over the place, but like it's a good saying of staying busy, and we're rolling through with a lot of sports going on.
We're almost literally at the halfway point. It's the 13th today of August. In my eyes, the NFL season seems to be pushed back a week this year because the first official Sunday in the NFL isn't until September 13th. Yes, we kick off on the 9th on a Wednesday of all days. Super Bowl rematch, Patriots at Seattle. And then on Thursday, we get to watch a divisional game, Rams 49ers in Australia. And then, of course, we got Sunday to kick off. But we'll get to the NFL at some point here. Some news and notes. Kyler Murray named the starting quarterback for the Vikings. Kind of a no-brainer. JJ kind of saying, hey, I want to stay here. I don't want to, be traded at this point. Maybe, hey, he can see. Listen, I like Kyler Murray. I think he's going to be good for that offense. But in the same token, he's no guaranteed to start all 17 games. Smaller quarterback, likes to run, get out of the pocket, can get injured just like last year and a couple of years ago. Thoughts on Kyler Murray and the Vikings?
Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see how he actually, gets everything done now, because now that Jordan, I think it's going to still be a 1-2 punch of Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson with the wide receiver standpoint. But I think that he can actually throw to that. Kyler Murray can throw to these guys. It's just a matter of how he can fit into the offense and seeing how everything gets meshed together with the whole aspect of the Vikings culture, because it's a lot different compared to where they had like a great. I honestly think that in terms of receiver action, Marvin Harrison can definitely just be such an impactful player at any time, at any means necessary for a team. But you have a Pro Bowl player in you have an all-time Pro Bowl player in Justin Jefferson. You need to throw the ball to him. So it's going to be a matter of how how everything can like fall into place, because obviously, as Jeff mentioned, that he can also run the ball too. So can he run out of the pocket? Can be able to be able to throw accurate balls to these guys, because at the end of the day, you need the offense to step up after a treacherous all over the place season last year with JJ McCarthy. And at the same point, can Kyler Murray rejuvenate his career, basically, because it's been all over the whirlwind with him this past couple of years with the Cardinals. So it just seems like a make or miss year for Kyler Murray, especially since if he wants to keep his career going. And we know the quarterbacks in this league are now either you're really good to where you're going to be staying for a good amount of time, like a Patrick Mahomes, um like a Josh Allen, like a Jamar Jackson. Like these guys can step up and be in one team for a long period of time, or a team's just gonna move on for you straight up, because you're not basically not that guy, as people will say nowadays. So it's going to be very interesting overall for the Vikings this upcoming season, and a make or miss year for Kyler Murray.
And Kyler's got no excuses. This is the one head coach, or one of the three head coaches that you want to be when, Kevin O'Connell, known as the quarterback whispers. I mean, he made Sam Darnold look like an all pro, and got his career rejuvenated. Now, Sam goes to Seattle, wins the Super Bowl, Kyle, this is a perfect situation. You catch a JJ Jefferson, a Justin Jefferson, coming off an off year because of McCarthy and the issues that they had at quarterback.
Mhm.
You mentioned Jordan Addison, of course, and then they bring in Jawan Jennings. So they got three quality wide receivers, a backfield of the aging Aaron Jones. They have Jordan Mason. Of course, they got Hawkinson. And a good defense, tough division. Of course, you got the Bears, you got the Packers, and the Lions. But overall, I kind of agree with you. A make or break season. If Kyler can't shine here, he ain't going to shine anywhere else.
No, absolutely not. Basically, I think Kevin O'Connell could do it, where he can do the rejuvenation of somebody's career, and that could probably be Kyler Murray, because on paper he's a good quarterback. At the end of the day, it's just a matter of the being in the situation with Arizona. It's just been all over the place, and not to mention he's also dealt with injuries. So it's a matter of, can he stay healthy, obviously, number one, and then number two is just that can he actually be the accurate guy to throw these balls, especially to Jordan, as Jeff mentioned, with Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson. JJ McCarthy couldn't do it because he was just too inaccurate, and his usage rate was just all over the place. So we can't really gauge into how much he's going to really make an impact. So now it's Kyler Murray's turn to actually step up and be that guy, and be the number one, be in that number one spot. At the end of the day, it's a lot of question marks, especially since you have this great talent on at the end of the day. But this team needs to step up, or it's going to be just basically a full refresh for this team, because that Justin Jefferson probably wants out, like how AJ Brown did the same thing, of how I've won a Super Bowl for these guys with the Eagles, but now I'm just not having the same amount of usage rate as before, and the fact of like the offense has been all over the place. But now the same thing could possibly be said for Justin Jefferson, if he doesn't have the same amount of touches this upcoming season. It's gonna it's gonna very dictate on how everything goes throughout the season. It could be traded. Who knows if everything falls flat in their face? But only time will determine if that really happens.
Headliner again, Jaxson throwing darts to his neighbors. Again, in the offseason, you brought back Odell Beckham. And I really don't want to waste your time on my thoughts on Odell Beckham. One catch turns this guy into a Hall of Famer. Not that he didn't have talent, not when he was healthy and in his prime. a great wide receiver, and was on his way. It looked like for the first half of the Super Bowl with the Rams, was going to get a Super Bowl MVP, then got hurt there. But exciting for a Giant fan, obviously, to see Neighbors back on the field. Thoughts on your expectations for the Giants, Chargers, Texans, Cardinals, etc.
Yeah. So again, just Jeff mentioned with the Giants, the biggest expectation for them is that to stay healthy, and this team could literally win 8 games or more. But that's the biggest thing of like because we saw like last year the potential of how Jackson Dart the dynamic duo between Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterwood was able to make noise at least, but before they got injured, it's just a matter of they were out with season-ending injuries and just couldn't stay on the floor. So you had to rely on, you know, Devin Singletary and Jameis Winston to carry you through the offense throughout the rest of the seasons last year. So everything is in the table now for the Giants to step up this season. It's a lot of changes. Obviously John Harbaugh stepping into this mix as well. I think that can only rejuvenate this team as well. His team is very young, but I think he's done the same thing with John Harbaugh, the same thing with a very young rookie um in Lamar Jackson, and is look what he's done. He's made him to an MVP. So he could bring that experience. He could bring that kind of head coach mentality, that leadership to the Giants, and be able to make this team into hopefully a Super Bowl contender at some point. I mean, I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think that's there at the start because obviously they need this team to develop into the offense. You need to able this team as a whole needs to stay healthy as well. I think there's just a lot of expectations for the Giants, especially. But I think as long as they have this kind of pedigree and continue what they showed at the first half of the season before they got injured, especially with these two dynamic players, it's going to be a very good season for the Giants at least. The other three teams with the Cardinals and Texans and the Cardinals, Texans, and Chargers. Chargers, I say that because of they have a very promising offense. Their defense has always been very good, as people have already know. But the emergence of Omari Hampton and Gadsden, they're starting to end at the second half of the year too. And before Omari Hampton got injured at the first half of the season, that's a lot of potential that you can bring to this team and can make a Super Bowl run. I think that's in my opinion my sleeper going into the season of trying to make a Super Bowl run because Justin Herbert has been very good and just been absolutely lights out at times. It's just that he just can't go over the hump. But I think Jim Harbaugh is figuring out a way for this offense to really flow. And I let you add also Mike McDaniel as an offensive coordinator. My goodness, I think that this thing can make noise, and that no one can really be expecting that for this season. Houston, I say this every year with Houston, and now they just got David Montgomery from the Lions. It's gonna be a break, basically a break make or miss season for a make or break season for the Houston Texans because CJ Stroud kind of basically just took almost an off year. You saw what happened in the playoffs. They just couldn't really do anything at all. But I think this team could definitely step up again and make that playoff push. It's just a matter of you're also in a very tough division as well. But having that addition in a very good starting you know one of the best dynamic duo running backs in Jameer Gibbs and David Montgomery, and now you bring him to Houston in the mix. I think he's going to definitely step up in terms of how his usage rate's going to be for Houston, and be like that Josh Jacobs of a power back for Houston. So let's see what happens and how what happens there because they had the good receiving core. Their defense is one of the best in the league. I mean, they're probably second best compared to the Seattle. That's how good they were last season. So hopefully that team can, step up again defensively. And hopefully offensively that can also follow suit. The Cardinals, again, they got rid of Colin Murray, but the fact of like now isn't a matter of is Carson Beck going to start? Is just who's going to be the starting quarterback? Is it going to be Jacoby Brissett? That's going to be the biggest question for them. And then I think that the receiving core, and then not to mention that their first round pick in Jeremiah Love is going to be the biggest factor of how everything flows for the season. Their defense is pretty good. I think they're around the top ten in terms of defense. But is the offense going to be ready for? Not to mention that they have this new offense, and you have different person they have a different personnel. Michael Wilson has definitely stepped up this past year with Jacoby Brissett at the hill last year, and he was just able to almost average at least like 75 to almost 100 yards in the past, I think, last few games of the season. And then Marvin Harrison Jr., he's absolutely stellar, can make some plays. But now that you add also Jeremiah Love to the mix, it's gonna be very interesting for them. But he has to make that immediate impact because obviously he's their first round pick from last year. And the same thing goes like how they did with the Raiders did with Ashton Genty. So is the same thing gonna apply to Jeremiah Love? Absolutely. It's just a matter of how much of his usage rate is gonna be. Are they gonna really run the ball more than most teams around the league? That's probably what's gonna be. We'll see. I think it's going to be very interesting. I think that Carson Beck should start there, to be honest with you. But I'm not just going based off of just that one preseason Hall of Fame game. But it's seeming everything is trending in the right direction between him and Jacoby Brissett. I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see.
Absolutely. Carson Beck did look great. And again, they did pay Jacoby. My gut says, if Jacoby stays healthy and the Cardinals are not winning, you could see Beck some point in the back half of the second half of the year. We shall see there. NBA, Mr. Triple Double, Russell Westbrook calls it quits.
Yeah, it's a very sweet ending to a long 18-year career for Russell Westbrook. But it goes to show that how effective he can be on the floor, but also ineffective he can be on the floor because of his usage rate, his turnover ratios. I mean, saw that way too much with the Lakers, but from his for a long tenure in the NBA, especially his like 11-year career with OKC, every every time you see him on the court, you have to be on your toes with him every time when you're on the court because he's explosive. He has no limit to what he can do or he can bring his presence on the floor. Not to mention, he never averaged below or 10 points per game throughout his entire career. His lowest was, I think, with the Clippers. Let me just double check here. Yeah, with the Clippers, 11.1 points per game. That's still really good for a guy who's coming off the bench and still having major impacts and still almost basically still giving you 4 to 5 rebounds and assists per game, coming off the bench. So he's still very impactful. He was still very impactful. He was also like even at times coming off the bench was like in contention for 6 man of the year at times. So the impact that Russell Westbrook has made throughout the career, he has won MVPs. He's won an MVP. He's gotten all the NBAs. It's just a matter of where does his legacy stand. I think all time. I think he's in essence, if you look around his career, he could be potentially a Hall of Famer. It's just a matter of how the league can assess on how much of an impact he made into the league. My gut says I think he could be in that kind of mix of either he is a he's a Hall of Famer, but not obviously first ballot, or he's that very good. He's that great player, but not that Hall of Fame kind of in terms of aspects. But I think that he, because of the rejuvenation of the triple double, I think that complete his case into that conversation. So I mean, in your opinion, I wanted Jeff. Do you think he's in a Hall of Fame situation?
Unfortunately, in today's game, he'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer. No problem. Never won anything, but he'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He had that stretch again, Mr. Triple Double, bounced around at the end of his career. Listen, I remember him in diapers in UCLA. So again,
Mhm.
I think he'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer there. Your Yankees call up George Lombard Jr. Listen, Rays cap off a 9-0 West Coast trip. They're just extending. Listen, You're all set. You're in the playoffs. My Red Sox are now treading the wrong direction, losing the 5 in a row there. Give us the Yankee report.
Well, and just to say and just to add to it, I did go to the game this past Tuesday against the Mariners, and they're looking. The offense is looking really good at times, even with as we keep mentioning every week about Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton and Cody Bellinger. Even with these guys out, they're still making plays. They're still having the offense really come through. I know he's have to rely too much on the too much on the home run ball. Of course, last night Trent Grisham hit 2 home runs, but speaking of like that kind of thing, you know, guys can make impacts at any point throughout this stretch, and it's even with guys still injured. And Jeff mentioned George Lombard Jr. has made the impact as soon as he got called up. Got a home run in his second at bat. Is raking up every single time. Defensively, he's looked absolutely stellar. I mean, I mean, what can you say? What can you say about what kind of an immediate impact that this team really needs, especially going forward? And if he wants to keep his starting spot into the playoffs, and I think that he can definitely make that jump. Obviously, it's still very early. He's in his rookie year, but he's making that immediate impact that the Yankees definitely need. So it's a spark that this team needs, and it's a very good trend in the right direction. It's just a matter of now this team has to beat the hump over the red hot, absolutely stellarly red hot Tampa Bay Rays that have been just blowing doors these past couple of games. Obviously, as Jeff mentioned, with winning 9 of the last 10 games, with a 9 game winning streak, it's just been it's very, I would say, very surprising kind of way that they're trending with the race at this rate. But I mean, Junior Caminero has just basically just been the all star MVP, the AL MVP at this point. The guy's just been all over the place, where no one really thought that this guy can definitely step up. But you see what immediate impact he can make, and now he's gonna just be. I think he's going to be in the foot race. I believe he's already probably. I think six to I think he's 6-1 to win the MVP last time I checked. So he's already in that kind of race already. So Yankees need to step up as we always know, as I always know. But at least it's in the right direction of how everything is going with the Yankees, despite their injuries.
Scroll has been going the whole time, Matthew, at MG28_sports. But as we always wrap up this segment, tell them where they can find all your work and, of course, your podcast with Coach James Young.
Yeah, as Jeff mentioned, with myself, I am Coach James Young's producer for the Coach's Edge with JY, and also the newest edition of what we're doing in terms of the way we're handling basketball, Her Court with JY. So the podcast that we've been doing now has been split into two. The Coach's Edge with JY is going to be just men's, and then Her Court with JY is. If you could already tell, is women's basketball. So we just had the first edition just this past week with Las Vegas Aces guard Justine Prasad. If you guys want to check that out, it's already been out already. And we just had the this past week with the Milwaukee women's basketball head coach as well. We just recorded that this week. So if you want to check that out as well, just be sure to check that out. Go subscribe on YouTube on Opaline Line Media, and just search up in the playlist of Her Court with JY / the Coaches Edge with JY. It should be in one playlist. If you guys missed it any of the day, Jeff and I will probably repost everything that went on today. Any specific details that we went on today's show. Go follow me on X at MG28_sports, or on Instagram if you want to check me out at Sergeant Matt George 28, if you guys want to check me out on Instagram, because I do the same thing as well there. But yeah, thank you Jeff for having me on. We're in the second half of this really hot summer season, so stay dry, so stay cool, everyone. It's been muggy this past couple of months, so just try to stay cool. And we're ramping up very closely into the NFL season as well. So we're getting there. We're really getting there.
Tomorrow, 10:30, I will be a guest on Wager Talk TV and a Beginner's Picks. And at 12 o'clock, Scotty Webb will be back for the Friday night MLB Lights. Until then, Set your dial every Thursday, 10:05. Matthew George here, live from the MECCA, NYC. Go follow him, of course, at MG28_sports. And to the rest of everyone, thank you so much for joining us. And as always, stay tuned.